The water was cold, bitterly cold, and it was rising faster than she could think. Emma's breath came in ragged gasps as she struggled to stay above the surging flood. Her arms flailed, heavy with the weight of soaked clothes. Debris swirled around her like floating knives, sharp, fast, and merciless. The current was no longer just water. It was a force that wanted to drag her under. 20 minutes earlier, everything had been fine. A peaceful walk through the river trail. Blue skies, birdsong. Then clouds rolled in, thunder cracked, and the heavens opened like a dam had burst. Within minutes, the trail became a torrent. Emma had slipped. One wrong step. Now here she was, caught in a nightmare. "Help!" she screamed, choking on water. "Please, somebody help me." But no one was around. Her fingers clutched at a log. It rolled. She was tossed backward, her head slamming into the current. Her chest burned. Her legs kicked wildly. The shore was a blur, trees bending in the storm. She was going to drown. Alone. Then something moved on the bank. At first she thought it was a coyote or a shadow. But then she saw eyes. Brown, wide eyes locked onto hers. A dog. Scruffy, lean, and filthy. A stray, clearly. No collar. No human in sight. Just standing there. Watching. Emma coughed hard, gasping for air. The dog tilted its head. Then, without hesitation, it leapt. The water hit him like a slap. But he swam like he belonged there. Each stroke determined, cutting through the current like a lifeline. Emma could barely keep her eyes open. But she saw him. Fighting the waves. Getting closer. Her muscles screamed. Her vision dimmed. Then fur. Wet fur. A nose. A paw on her shoulder. The dog had reached her. She didn't have the strength to hold on. But he pressed against her side, nudging her, lifting her chin with his snout. Emma coughed again, a deep wrenching sound from her core. He barked. Once. Sharp. Urgent. Then began paddling, nudging her with his body, urging her to follow. Instinct took over. She reached for his soaked fur. Her fingers barely gripped it. But the dog didn't stop. He pulled forward and she followed. Slowly. Weakly. Desperately. Minutes felt like lifetimes. The current fought them every second. But the dog kept swimming, barking, nudging, guiding. And then a jolt. Her knees scraped rocks. She was touching bottom. Shallow water. They had made it to the bank. Emma collapsed onto the muddy shore, coughing violently. Her body trembled. Her hands clutched dirt. She was alive. She rolled onto her side. The dog was there. Standing. Shivering. Watching her. "Why you?" she croaked, reaching out. He stepped closer, tongue lolling, tail low but wagging. She cried. Not from pain. From disbelief. From gratitude. The dog stepped closer and lay down beside her. Quiet. Present. Rain poured, but for the first time, Emma felt warm. And safe. The shelter was 2 miles away. Emma didn't know that yet. But the dog did. As she caught her breath, as her limbs began to work again, she noticed how the dog kept looking in one direction. As if signaling something. She sat up slowly, her body aching. You saved me," she whispered. "But where do we go now?" The dog stood. Took a few steps. Stopped. Looked back. Emma got the message. With each unsteady footstep, she followed him. And she had no idea. Her life was about to change forever. To be continued. Emma stumbled forward, her legs unsteady beneath her. The rain had softened into a steady drizzle, but the damage was done. Her body throbbed with cold and exhaustion. Yet she moved, guided not by strength, but by the silent determination of a muddy, matted stray dog. He trotted a few steps ahead, pausing every so often to glance back at her. His eyes weren't just watching, they were waiting. Checking. Making sure she was still behind him. Okay, she muttered through chattering teeth. "I'm coming." She didn't know where he was leading her. The trail they followed wasn't even a real path, just a narrow space between the trees, thick with roots and brambles. Every time she thought she'd collapse, the dog barked softly, coaxing her onward. Emma had always believed in signs. Little moments in life that whispered something bigger was at play. And this dog, this wild, forgotten creature, he felt like a message she didn't yet understand. An hour passed. Maybe more. Time didn't move normally when you were soaked to the bone and stumbling through the woods after a dog that had saved your life. And then suddenly he stopped. Emma nearly ran into him. Before her stood an old wooden shack, weather-worn but intact. A slanted roof, a crooked door, and a rusted sign that had once read, Willow Creek Animal Shelter. Emma stared, disbelief flooding her. "This is where you were taking me?" she whispered. The dog barked once, then nosed the door open. Inside, the smell of hay and old wood met her. Empty cages lined the walls, and a faded bulletin board hung in the corner with lost pet posters long yellowed by time. No people, but shelter, dryness, safety. She collapsed onto a patch of clean floor. The dog padded over and curled beside her, his head resting against her thigh. She stroked his soaked fur slowly. "Who are you?" she murmured. "Where did you come from?" He didn't answer, of course. But something passed between them, a silence that felt like understanding. Minutes passed. Then Emma reached for her phone. "Dead. Of course." She let out a soft laugh, half tears, half exhaustion. "Guess it's just you and me now, huh?" The dog raised his head and licked her hand. She found an old blanket tucked in the corner. It smelled musty but felt like heaven. She wrapped it around her and huddled closer to the dog. As the night settled in, thunder rumbled far in the distance. But inside the shelter there was peace, the kind only earned after chaos. Hours later, she woke to sunlight. And movement. A knock. Then the creak of the door opening. Emma jolted upright. An older man with a weathered face and a flashlight stepped in. "Hello," he called. "Is someone there?" She scrambled to her feet. Yes, I'm here." He stopped, eyes widening as he saw her, and the dog. "Well, I'll be," he muttered. "I thought this place was long forgotten." "You all right, miss?" I was caught in the flood. This dog, he saved me. Led me here." The man knelt beside the dog. "You found Bear." Emma blinked. "Bear?" He nodded. "Stray who used to hang around town. We tried to catch him a dozen times, but he never let us. Always disappeared into the woods." He smiled softly. "But he'd show up during storms. Like he knew when someone needed help." Emma looked down at the dog, Bear, curled again by her feet. "He's not just a stray," she whispered. "He's a guardian." The man helped her into his truck. They loaded Bear in the back. As they drove off, Emma watched the forest fade in the rearview mirror. She had nearly died. Lost everything. But this dog, this forgotten soul, had pulled her back from the edge. And as they approached the town clinic, Emma knew something deep inside. This was only the beginning. To be continued. The clinic was warm. Almost too warm after the storm Emma had just come through. Her fingers, once numb, now tingled with returning life. A nurse wrapped her in fresh blankets and handed her a mug of hot tea. But Emma's eyes were on the dog. Bear lay quietly on a mat across the room, dry now, his fur cleaned and brushed. A vet gently checked him over, murmuring soft praise with every examination. "Strong heart," the vet said. "Older but solid. Whoever had him before must have taken care once." Emma couldn't stop watching him. The way he rested calmly, as if he'd done this 100 times, saved a life and moved on. But she wasn't going to let him move on this time. "Can I adopt him?" she asked softly. The vet smiled. "Honestly, no one's ever been able to catch him long enough to try. If he chooses you, he's yours." Emma stood, walked over slowly, and knelt down. Bear opened one eye. She reached out, gently touching his head. "Hey, hero," she whispered. "Want to come home?" His tail thumped once. Then again. And just like that, he chose her. Days passed. The news picked up her story. Headlines ran with phrases like "Stray dog saves woman from flood" and **, hero pup leads woman to safety. But Emma didn't care about the attention. She only cared about Bear. They settled into her small cottage just outside town. He had his own bed by the fire, bowls engraved with his name, and more love than he'd ever known. But Bear wasn't just a pet. He was a partner, a reminder of survival, of instinct, of something pure that the world often forgot. One afternoon, as Emma walked with Bear down a sunny path by the creek, yes, that creek, she paused to look at the water. Clear now. Peaceful. Nothing like the day it tried to take her. She knelt beside Bear and whispered, "You gave me more than a second chance. You gave me purpose." She had started volunteering at the shelter. Eventually, she'd help rebuild it, turning it into a refuge for lost and abandoned animals, like Bear had once been. But now they just sat in the sunlight, the past behind them. A jogger passed by and slowed. "That your dog?" he asked. Emma nodded. "Yep. Best friend I've ever had." The man smiled. "Looks like a guardian angel." Emma's eyes shimmered. "He is." Moral of the story *, sometimes, the ones we least expect become the ones who save us. Not just from danger, but from ourselves. In a world full of noise and chaos, the silent love of a loyal heart can guide us home. And when you open your heart to a broken soul, you may find healing you never thought you needed. Emma did, and so did Bear. Their story wasn't just about rescue. It was about redemption, and about how love, in its purest form, often comes on four legs and in muddy paws. / the end.